closet door. I'm here in my studio, aka Board Game Closet. I love this song. I'm worried we use it too much, but it's still a good song. Anyways, before diving into today's nugget of civics, I wanted to thank those of you who have donated to keep this bird in the air. We simply can't make the show without that tried and true public radio standby, listener donations. If you listen to the show and can support it, just go to civics101podcast.org and click donate, or just click the link in our show notes to give a gift in any amount. $5 a month as a sustaining member, it gets you a swanky new Civics 101 face mask. But whatever amount you can give, please know we are going to keep asking people smarter than us to answer your questions about how our country works. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here's the show.
Civics 101 is supported in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
It's like, why would the archives be in charge of the certificate, the electoral certification process?
This is Jessie Kratz, historian of the National Archives and Records Administration. That is the place tasked with the preservation and documentation of government records. And, as it turns out, administering the Electoral College.
Well, so before the archives got the responsibility, it was part of the State Department. And then in 1950, there was a big reorg of government, and it was given to the National Archives. So I think that they're kind of just washing their hands of this bureaucratic requirements.
This is Civics 101. I'm Hannah McCarthy.
I'm Nick Capodice.
And as part of our exploration of our unwieldy beast of an election process, from individual votes to the Electoral College, I wanted to know who was in charge of making sure it doesn't get all muddled up.
But wait! Before you take one step further, we have a huge episode on the Electoral College where we explain the life out of it. So if you don't know how it works, stop, go to our website, civics101podcast.org, and search Electoral College. All right, so who is in charge?
I think that the archives is in charge of the Electoral College process, and this is something the archivist has delegated to the Office of the Federal Register, and it's one of their lesser-known responsibilities. And so before the election, what they do is they contact all the people that are in charge of the election process in every state and outline their responsibilities for the Electoral College process.
Somehow this is my favorite part, an official phone call to explain the Electoral College process to election officials.
And then after the election results are certified, the governor of each state and then the mayor of DC, they have to prepare 7 of these things called certificates of ascertainment.
These certificates are the link between our popular vote and the electoral vote. They list the various slates of electors for the various candidates and how many votes those electors received.
Because, remember, when you vote for president, you're actually voting for a slate of electors who will then cast their vote basically on your behalf. So the certificates must feature all the slates and the various vote breakdown.
And be signed by the governor, a real signature, no stamp, and then it has to carry the seal. And so the archivist gets these, and he's been getting them, and we've been posting them on the Electoral College website. So if you want to see the ones that have already come in, they're online now. And this is the document that outlines who will be voting on December 14th.
Did you look them up?
Oh, of course. They're all totally different, down to the sometimes roundabout way they present all of the information and their graphic design. Ohio's is pretty ornate. And I do recommend, if you have trouble wrapping your mind around the Electoral College, looking at one of these certificates of ascertainment, because they helped me to visualize things and clear things up. So the archivist reviews the certificates of ascertainment and makes sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted.
And then after the Electoral College meets, we're going to get copies of the certificate of vote and the certificate of ascertainment, these pairs. And we work with Congress to make sure that they have all the copies as well when they're getting ready to count the electoral vote on January 6th.
So the role of the archive, specifically of the Federal Register, is simply to process paperwork.
To be fair, very, very important paperwork. But yes, Jessie did point out, though, paperwork is kind of the point of the National Archives.
I mean, we're all about the paperwork, and so that's what we're basically managing, the paperwork around it. But I like it because the archives role is really twofold. We're collecting these certificates and we're, making them available to the public. And then we also, after the election, we keep them forever. And so people can come look at election results that happened, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and they're available for public use. And so, yeah, it's bureaucracy and it's paperwork, but I think it's really necessary and it's part of, the democratic process.
That does it for this episode on the Electoral College, but we are just scratching the surface of this behemoth, so stay tuned. If you have questions about the way this sometimes baffling democracy works, ask us. Click the button at the top of the homepage at civics101podcast.org.
From PRX.